right? The downfall of modern podcasts.
I'm sure you've realised ever since the pandemic that absolutely everyone you've ever met has now got a podcast.
True.
And it's not even plugged into anything. But there is a big problem on the horizon that we're already starting to experience. Follow me. Now you're probably like, what were you filming then? Is it too much to ask to keep the camera on me? Now problem number one is if you're like me, I like listening to the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
So when he went over to Spotify, we celebrated it and we were happy to pay that Spotify membership. But then
Yeah.
for some reason, although we're paying Spotify the money, he's still putting ads in the podcast. So I'm there in bed listening to an episode.
Bro, true. What the hell? Like, I pay for like the Spotify premium thing, and I'm still getting fucking Joe Rogan ads on like AG1, MeUndies, ZipRecruiter. I can fucking name them all pretty much. What else? A couple other ones too. It's so stupid.
About to fall asleep.
But I mean, hey, whatever. Joe got to get the bag. Whatever.
And then bam.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens.
Like, whoa. So you're like, hold on, I'm paying you Spotify so I don't get ads, and now I'm getting ads either way. And they
Yeah.
don't even play them at the beginning like Lex Friedman, so you can skip through them and pretend you listen to them.
Yeah.
They put them back.
Bro, it's like putting, I'm going to say this, putting ads in the middle of a podcast is, it's dangerous, because I would say there's a good amount of percentage of people that listen to podcasts in cars while they're driving. And some people will, when that ad pops up, will take their eyes off the road, put their eyes on their phone while they're driving to skip that ad in like the middle of a podcast. All right. Oh, it's not my responsibility on how people drive. It's like, but people do that. I've seen it. Okay.
Bam. Come on, over here, come on. For many of you, you've probably heard of a podcast called Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. And congratulations, they just hit 5 million subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. But there's a lot of controversy between the guests at the moment, and all the guests seem to contradict each other and say different things, but they're all renowned experts.
Oh.
But being an expert isn't merely enough, because if you think about it, if two companies are suing each other, both companies will have experts, and then both experts in the same field would disagree with each other.
Yeah. Like an easy example that I can, like, off the top of my head is like, was it like the Coca-Cola company was trying to make it seem like, I forgot, like, who was suing the Coca-Cola company? Something about like sugar doesn't cause diabetes, or sugar doesn't make you gain weight. It's fat. Like Coca-Cola was trying to demonize fat for making people fat and have diabetes. And it's like, you got like some people like doing one thing, other people doing the other thing. And it's like, oh, we got all our studies paid for by Coca-Cola, and you guys got like on the other side, it's like, we got all our studies that says sugar leads to diabetes and getting fat and obesity and all this other shit. And I still don't know who's right. I mean, I would probably think that sugar, like at least excessive sugar, leads to diabetes, but excessive calories will also lead you to getting fat. So it's like a little bit of truth, but like a lot of lie on like both sides. Or I don't know, but that's just like an example. There's incentives for some of these like cases for each company for them to win. It's like, oh, all of a sudden cigarettes aren't bad for you. Hallelujah. Nicotine and all our like what was it, like 500 ingredients or something like that inside cigarettes, like, and there's tar and shit. That still baffles me. It's like, oh, cigarettes aren't bad for you. It's like, yeah, they're bad.
But just making someone an expert doesn't mean they're right, or you wouldn't have people on different sides. There are several components to operating a podcast in 2024 that people aren't thinking about. Podcasts are businesses. They are not vessels or means of getting you free information, although it may feel that way. Places like YouTube will pay you AdSense, but
yeah, so whenever I like watch or listen to a podcast, like I'll listen to a podcast for like certain reasons. Sometimes I feel like being informed, but other times I just want to be entertained. So it's not like there's like a catch-all type of deal with like any given podcast. It's like, for me, sometimes I'll just want to listen to something for background noise. Other times it's like I'm actually like engaged with the shit. It's like informational.
When you start looking at these podcasts as businesses, this is only a fraction, maybe 10 to 20% of what that business is earning is being paid for by Google. One of the main places you will earn money in a podcast is sponsors. And the sponsor will pay depending on the amount of downloads or the amount of views, because you are putting eyes and ears in front of their brand.
Whoa, I already see where he's going with it. More views, more clicks, more money. Gotcha.
Podcasts also use discount codes, but they're not discount codes, they're commission codes. When you look at Huberman promoting Athletic Greens, if you use this code for the discount, it actually allows Athletic Greens to understand where they're giving their commission to. And if we use Athletic Greens as an example, you're not only looking at $50 commission per.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I just canceled my fucking AG1 little subscription thing. That shit's like way too expensive. I'm just like, I'm done with it.
Sale, but every sale they're in. So no doubt a sponsor will not just pay the person to be mentioned, they will then pay the person every time there's commission on their product and sales on their in. So when the likes of Huberman are saying Athletic Greens is really good and it makes them feel so much better, they're not just looking at commission, they're looking at recurring commission. Now, what makes things interesting? So if we look at a company like Huel, Stephen Bartlett is a non-executive director of Huel, which I assume means he has shares in the business. So although I'm sure that Huel pay Diary of a CEO money, every time Stephen Bartlett mentions Huel, he's also inflating the portfolio of a business that he's got shares in. And before I say that's terrible.
Oh, special interests. He's got a little bit of an incentive to mention the other company that he's got shares in.
I do that every time I tell you about Newtonic, the world's first productivity drinks. Oh, my shares in the business just went up. So far, nothing really is wrong with this picture. The problem starts becoming apparent when you start looking at guests. In the beginning, you want fantastic guests who can arrive and change people's lives and give people so much information and get massive amounts of views and grow your channel to 5 million subscribers. But you will exhaust the amount of great guests very soon. And you can get those guests back on, or what we're starting to see is you bring on guests not who are known for being factually correct or objective, but that you know will cause controversy, cause a rift between the followers, cause massive amounts of engagement, cause people to be so outraged that they go and watch the podcast just to see what's factually incorrect in it. And
okay, I get it. So he said there's only so many good guests for people, for all these like podcasts. Are we reaching like a critical like crossing like on the graph of like there being too many different podcasts and not enough guests, or that way? Are we reaching that point? Too many podcasts, not enough guests. Too many platforms, not enough people that know what the fuck to talk about. Because so what does he mean by good guests? I think he means by like people that are like people that know what the heck they're talking about, and they have a little bit of charisma about them. So that would probably be like what I classify as like a good guest. Someone that can riff a little bit, but someone that also knows their shit.
And of course, get huge amounts of views. You'll even notice that the thumbnail for the episode is changed every hour on the hour, 12 hours after the podcast is released.
Really?
To see which thumbnail causes people to click on the most. There is a science to this, and they're choosing titles that are provocative, intriguing, but we're now at the point where people are just...
Yeah, the podcast thumbnail. Like, I've seen this, and this is pretty much true for almost every podcast. There's like, the host is on one side, the guest is on the right side, and then the topic will be like a picture in the center, and it'll have like some words at the bottom of like dinosaurs were never real or something, and it's like some podcast dude and the guest talking about, and this is what they're talking about. That's literally the thumbnail he's talking about.
Just looking to piss people off. And if that means you're using misinformation, if it brings you views and it brings you listens and it brings you attention, that's not only going to bring you more money from sponsors, it's also going to give you more prospects to sell the business in which you're promoting. And all you need to do is check the comment section of these guests when they're announced. There was even a post by the vegan doctor that I was meant to show you guys here, but I think it's been deleted because the comments were so bad on it.
Oh, dang.
Although you can cause a lot of controversy from the amount of people that are coming to your page, if it boosts your revenue, you will continue to do that habit or endeavor. It's a positive feedback loop.
Oh, okay. So more controversy means more clicks, means more views, means more money for this singular person, but the effect that the podcast has is potentially misinformation. Okay, that's fair.
So the biggest issue you see in models like Diary of a CEO is that it's very apparent this is becoming more of a business operation than it is trying to get good quality information to the forefront of the listeners. Let's have a look at some of the comments.
I love cheese.
I'm honestly starting to get tired of all these health food experts. If I followed every advice of the guests on the show, I'd have to change my diet every week. How do you elaborate all of these contradictory statements from all of your different guests? I watch all the episodes and I find it really hard. And so many of the things that people...
Bro, trying to figure out what's good to eat and what's bad to eat. Like, I have been on this earth for 34 years, and I still don't know what's good to eat and what's bad to eat. Foods aren't, like, really, like, good or bad. Foods simply just do things to your body, and that's about it. A food isn't inherently good or bad, but I do understand like what he means. Like oh, you got like the vegan guy coming on saying meats are bad, and or maybe not even, but yeah, like meats, like animal products are bad, and then you got maybe like the opposite side of like this dude that eats like a well-rounded diet, and then you got on the other side, oh, this guy is like eats nothing but meat or keto, whatever it is, and it's like, you got three different things. All of them are experts. All of them are contradicting each other. So, yeah, I get the confusion.
People are saying on podcasts are just not true. And a great example of this would be the misinformation that Ben Carpenter put out this week. I'll tell you what, Ben, I'm even going to show people you're real because I think it's really important.
100 normal individuals, 25 in 4 different groups. One group, 1 liter of sugared soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of diet soda per day for 6 months. One group, 1 liter of milk per day for 6 months. Final group, 1 liter of water per day for 6 months.
Okay.
The 1 liter of soda per day in 6 months gained 10 kilos.
The sugary soda.
The sugary
Dang,
soda.
22
10
pounds.
kilos. The 1 liter of water per day lost 2 kilos. 1 liter of milk per day, no change.
Presumably that was full-fat milk. We're talking about
full-fat
Euro.
milk. Full-fat milk.
Yeah, they like their full-fat milk.
No change. And finally,
Okay.
the kicker to the whole thing, diet soda. The 1 liter of diet soda. What would you predict their weight would do?
More weight loss than in the water group based on my understanding of the literature.
They gained 2 kilos.
Podcasts
Okay.
talking about science, love it. Podcasts including references in
Oh.
their show notes, especially love it. Podcasts that totally misrepresent what the study actually said, don't love it quite so much.
Oh.
Here is what that
The
study
misinformation. Okay. I mean, to be fair, like even within even within like the few podcasts that I don't know, it would include like resources. So I'll say this: I've never listened to a podcast and like looked at the resources. I don't think most people like try to look at like what resources, if any, are being posted along with the podcast. So, but I mean, what was that? Andy Huberman's podcast, and in there, they'll go over. This is the first time I am actually hearing that a podcast actually has resources with what they're talking about. So I think like that's pretty cool, to be honest.
study actually showed. Firstly, it was 60 people, not 100. Secondly, it
Oh.
wasn't full-fat milk. Thirdly, most importantly, those incredible sounding numbers, they are absolute bullshit.
What?
He claimed soda resulted in 10 kilos of weight gain. 2 kilos from diet soda, no change from milk, 2
Okay.
kilos weight loss from water.
Okay.
Guess what the study actually showed? No
Right.
significant body weight change in any group. There
So what the fuck was all that shit before then? What the hell? Oh, that's the dude's little thing right there. There was a tiny trend for weight and fat gain and fat in the soda group. So what was all that dude talking about bullshit then?
There was a tiny trend for weight and fat gain in the soda group, but it was not 10 kilograms. It was a measly 1.25 kilograms.
Oh, thank God. I can still drink soda. I don't gotta drink that diet shit anymore. Oh, thank God. I'm saved.
Drinking the sugary soda did increase ectopic fat levels,
Oh.
and other studies show they can promote weight and fat gain, even if that wasn't seen in this study. Anyone who even bothers to skim read the abstract will know that what he is saying isn't even close to...
Yeah, so I don't normally look up like studies, but when I do, I at least know how to skim the abstract. That's like one skill you should probably have, because I don't feel like if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of any study for anything, you can. I mean, it's a hard read though. I mean, I've done it in the past, and she is it tough, man. But I mean, hey, that's why they have a little abstract to, what was this? Like, you look at the background, at the objectives, design, and the results. All right, you can read less than a page of text and be up to date. I think that's a really good skill to have.
Factually correct. My point is, please be careful which podcasts you trust, even if you happen to like the people behind the microphone.
And the biggest issue is going to be this. Supply and demand are not in a position to serve each other. Because think of it, you've got Joe Rogan, you've got Lex Friedman, you've got Chris Williamson, you've got Stephen Bartlett, you've got all these well-established businesses that are all fighting over a supply of good speakers. And once they've been interviewed on one podcast, their stocks are diluted because people go, well, I listened to Matthew Walker on Joe Rogan, so I'm not going to listen to him on Chris Williamson. So you have all these people fighting.
So what you're saying is we need more experts. People need to get better at shit and talking about the shit. Gotcha.
For this really small amount of supply of actually good people to have on. And when you can't access those people, you need to start going to the bottom of the bucket and finding people that are divisive, controversial, or that are just going to say things against the status quo, like we just saw in Ben Carpenter's reel. People are going to cherry pick studies, or worse yet, make up their own outcome of the studies, because people at the moment are making a snapshot from these reels that are put out and taking that as evidence. Even this guy in my DM.
Bro, why you gotta ruin podcasts for me, dude? I was blissfully... Why you gotta ruin podcasts for me, James Smith? I was just blissfully ignorant, just enjoying whatever podcast I was listening to. Now I gotta quit. Bro, movies are ruined for me. A lot of video games are ruined for me. A lot of shows that I stream are just ruined for me. Now you gotta take away my podcasts? It's all bullshit. And what's that one meme with like the Earth and the astronaut, and then the other astronaut behind him with the gun? It's like, it always was.
You might have to throw in the towel soon. I was like, mate, you've watched one reel. I said it's already been debunked, you nonce, which in English means paedophile. Just keeping
you nonce.
Your toes, dickhead. Then sends me Jason Fung, one of the most notorious charlatans and misinformation. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is something called the confirmation bias. And the confirmation bias is where you go out and seek information that already fits your narrative and you ignore everything else that doesn't. The current state of the world is that people will see something that someone says in 90 seconds. They won't reference studies. They won't reference any literature. They'll just say it with enough conviction that people think it's true. They will then take that information and try and convert people around them. This is causing mass confusion. And the big issue with all of this is when so much information is contradicting, people won't listen to any of it. It's a real shame because podcasts for so many years were such an amazing way for you to bolster your knowledge. And now you're just being drip-fed bullshit so that other companies can profit off of getting more downloads, views, and listens. It's a sad reality.
God dang. I don't know. I don't think it's like... I mean, but with that clip, it's like that dude sounded so like authoritarian or authoritative. How do I say it? Authoritative on it. Like I'm being, what's that thing? Like the Milgram experiment, where it's like, as long as somebody looks and talks like an authority, you will just defer to them, regardless of if they're actually an authority on it. God damn. Now I gotta be picky about my podcast now. God damn it. Can't I just go back to like liking these damn things for just the entertainment purposes? And I know that it's entertainment. God dang it.
Of the world, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Thanks for watching. Dang.
That was a good ass video. I didn't realize the state of podcasts. Like, I didn't realize like what state they were in really, because I don't know. I just let like a lot of my subscriptions just go, and yeah, I was just like for like 2 months now. I have been like podcast less, or at least from Spotify and anything. Like I'll still watch like some YouTube shit every once in a while, but like for the most part, it's like I don't know. Like I can kind of tell who's like an expert and who's not, but like this video just made me question everything. Maybe I really don't know. God dang. But no, I thought this was a good ass video, and it was short and sweet to the point. Like god dang. But yeah, I'm a fan now, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.